Now, I was originally going to do a Terranigma video, but my last video of that sort of got interrupted at a point I didn't mean to end it. You can thank my rather finicky wires for that. So I figured I'd do a Phantasy Star 2 video. This is what, video number 3, I believe? So we're talking to the principal of the university, who was obviously up to something. We don't know what. Well, I do, but that's because I've played this game before. Not that long ago either, so this game is still relatively fresh in my mind. One thing that is fortunate about it is overall a very easy linear game. So while you might get, a bit confused in some of the dungeons, they're not all that mazy, however. In regards to what town, what planet you're supposed to go to further progress the plot, it's pretty obvious. Now, sometimes finding that particular town can be a little annoying, but the game's not that frustratingly. What the hell am I supposed to do to progress the plot like so many JRPGs of this era were? Also, I do like the sort of comic book scene Ninja Gaiden-like cutscenes. I don't say might not have been the first JRPG to do this, but I'm pretty sure it was the first on the Genesis. Might have been the first overall, I don't know. I am still not all that very knowledgeable in regards to the history of JRPGs. You gotta bear in mind I got into them kinda late with Final Fantasy VIII. I did not mean for that to rhyme, but it did, so, oh well. And yes, I am reading this as I go through it too, which is why I'm speaking rather bizarrely. Joys of, trying to commentate and play the game at the same time. Which is part of the LP curse, trying to commentate and play at the same time, because you tend to get distracted doing one or the other. I'm one of the people who finds it very difficult to do both at the same time. Which is why JRPGs are relatively simple, because, there's not much twitch controls and what have you. Not much platforming and trying to attack enemies at the same time while commentating, jumping on platforms and trying to avoid pits and what have you. Which reminds me, I will eventually finish Super Castlevania 4. It's just I'm at the end boss and I find him very difficult for some reason right now. I always found him difficult, but I found him not this difficult. I always thought Death was more annoying, and well, if you're watching the LP, you know that Death was very annoying for me to defeat, but I eventually defeated him. And I will eventually defeat Dracula. It's just getting that final phase is just... For some reason, I am having difficulty doing it on camera. I don't know why, but I'm not going to give up. I am going to do it if for no other reason than I have to, because I'm doing it as a project. Now, there are my Command and Conquer projects are pretty much indefinitely on hold until I can find a way to more conveniently record off my laptop. I can, but it's very, very obnoxious, and it will help if I have some more equipment, which I can get, but you know, it's not even a low priority on my list. It's just something I need to get that is optional. No, it's not even on the priority list, I must confess. So if you want me to get back to it, you know, write it in the comments or what have you, and you know, I can't hook it up now to where I can record it with what I have available to me now, but having some extra equipment will make it a little more easier for me to do. Which is, I will admit, an excuse, not a valid reason. It's just for some reason I've really sort of lost motivation to do the RTSC. Maybe it's because I've just been putting it on hold for so many years at this point that jumping back into it will be sort of like be a fish out of water, jumping in the middle of a game sort of thing. As though I am too far into them to do them all over again. There was a one campaign, I think it's Nod DLC. I am having an obnoxious time trying to complete because the sort of vital person I need keeps dying and I don't know how to protect them. Oh well, worst case scenario, I'll look up a guide or a person who knows better what they're doing, LP, and watch that and learn and or copy from them. I am still very tired working these long hours are taking a toll on me, which is why I haven't been uploading videos or even books on my Facebook business/book page nearly as often as I should be. I know it's going to eventually bite me in the ass, but you know, I sort of need to do the work, and I really have no choice but to work the long hours because I have to take a shuttle in, and I can't leave early even if I wanted to. Trust me, I wish I could, because they're not necessarily slave laborers in regards to working you too hard. They're slave laborers in regards to working you too long. I don't understand why they don't have an evening shift. It will make so much more sense for them to have an evening shift. I know it will cut down on our overtime, but frankly, I'd rather just work 40, I wouldn't mind even working 50 hours a week, because I'd still get time to come home, do my professional work, do this. I still have time to go to bed and get up early in the morning and do what I'd like to do before I leave for work. The way it is now, I come home, I have time to get my insulin, get something to eat, shower, and sleep. Get up in the morning, maybe have some caffeine or coffee before I head to work. Maybe have a pipe and relax my mind. And then head out to work to meet the shuttle and try and get there in time and not be stressed out because the job is mind-numbingly boring. I hope it's only temporary. I hope by the time they lay me off, probably sometime around Christmas, I can find something better, different, more suited to my hours and schedule. So by the time they're ready to call people back, I'm already doing something else. Now, I don't know if that will happen, but if it doesn't, I am currently undecided as to whether or not I will go back, though if they do call me back the second time, it's probably not going to be the long hours because right now there's a Christmas rush. Understandable why they're working the long hours. Not understandable why they don't just put in a second shift. Though I am working at a greenhouse, nursery, what have you. And maybe the plants need the darkness to sleep or what have you. I'm a herpetologist, not a horticulturalist. I am not necessarily blatantly ignorant when it comes to maintaining plants and flowers and what have you, but I know very, very little about some. And maybe they don't have the second shift because the plants honestly do need the darkness to sleep. But if they do not, it will just make more sense for them to have a second shift. That way they will get more done. And they wouldn't be, in the grand scheme of things, they'd probably be paying overall less. Instead of paying all these people overtime. And it will be more efficient because you're not going to be having people leaving at different periods of the day. Because a lot of them don't want to work overtime. I only work the overtime because I come in on a shuttle and really have no choice. I leave when everyone else leaves. So if someone wants to leave early, I have to leave early. I'm not complaining when that happens, but if by popular votes they all want to stay late, I have to stay late, and I'm not going to be the one saying I have to leave early because I'm not going to be the one who's going to be causing everyone to lose hours on their paycheck. It's a bitch either way, but I'm not going to be the one fucking everyone over. So I am under the impression that if I were to say, yeah, I do have to leave early at this time, I'm under the impression that people I come in with aren't necessarily going to complain. If anything, you're probably going to be relieved, but it's a double-edged sword where I want some money, the work's too easy, it's mind-numbingly boring, but I can do it. It's just they're not following labor laws, they're not, because people are leaving throughout different periods of the end day. The people working the 11 to 12 hour shifts aren't getting their third break even though they're legally entitled to. Which is utter horse shit, but I mean, I understand why they do it, but what they're doing is basically illegal according to the labor laws. They are legally, technically they need to give us an hour's lunch and 3 breaks. Now the lunch will be unpaid, so I don't mind taking the half-hour lunch, but they are legally required to give us a third break, and they're not. And if we had that third break, it will just make that end time of the day so much more tolerable. But they don't because people are leaving and they don't want to give people a third break if they're only going to be staying X amount of time, blah, 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 blah. I don't think it's horse shit. I know it's horse shit, but I mean, you try explaining that to them and they just pretty much give you as a stink eye and tell you to fuck off and do your job. it's a bitch. So I am under the impression that if and when I do get called back for the second time, because there's not going to be that Christmas rush, we're only going to be working 8 to 10 hour days, plus a half hour unpaid lunch, which I mean, I'd rather work to do the extra half hour and get paid the full time. Frankly, I'd rather we just get a paid lunch, but people are cheap and don't want to pay us for when we're not working if they're not legally required to. Cheap bastards, but hey, it's to be expected. Excuse me, but that did feel good. I'm gonna talk to everyone in this town. I don't think there's a weapons shop. I don't remember there being a weapons shop. There might be. There might be an item. I'm pretty sure there's an item shop, so I mean, I might pick up some items if I don't have the necessary tech skills, or more specifically magic, to use healing. But if there's a weapons shop and I can get the better weapons, and more specifically the second lance, boomerang, or whatever for Alice, better weapon or another weapon for Han and Chad, I'm gonna be, of course, money grinding to get some. Whenever I go into a new town in any JRPG, Eastern or Japanese or Western, I always save up for the extra equipment, or grind money for the extra equipment. Which is why Final Fantasy VIII is a bit of a bitch, because there is no armor, and the weapons you create by collecting various items and then buying to have them be, purchasing them to be built. You don't buy better weapons, you build them. Don't get me wrong, I like 8 overall better than 7, but I will admit that... Get over here, kid! I will admit that 7 is the overall superior game. It's just, I can do with a really campy love story better than I can with an environmental story. I've explained this before, I'm not going to explain it again. Or at least I'm not going to explain it this time around. I think I've already talked to this person. Yeah, as you can tell, there's an environmental crisis going on, but that's due to some computer glitch that controls the environment. If you've played the other games or are aware of the other games, you know what's going on. I might do the other games just to sort of complete the quadrilogy, because there's 4 of them, I don't know. But I'm very hesitant too, because well, the 1 is very mazy in regards to dungeons, the other is very archaic and has first-person view dungeons, which I just don't like overall. And the third, I'm just not nearly experienced enough, and I've dabbled in it, but haven't really gotten much past the sort of... I've gone past the introduction, but in regards to the beginning, I haven't really gotten far past the beginning. And there is an item shop. How much money do I have? Yeah, hunters are basically what we are, mercenaries, what have you. 11,007 I forget what's it called. Tool store. Automates are the basic potions. Unfortunately, this is a game where the spells and items are a bit confusing in regards to what they do. Once you understand the language, it's easy to understand everything else. It's just trying to figure out the language. Especially when it comes to offensive spells. And to even an extent, defensive and healing spells. I mean, I wish they just keep it obvious, but they want to be different. I'm going to end it here despite it being sort of nothing happening. Take care, everybody, and bye.